All right, so in this video, we are going to begin working on the logic for our onPictureClicked function. Now, we did come in and block things out just a little bit with our comments here. We have a public function that has to be called on mouse down. We've already done that. And now what we want to do is we want to enable a random painting prefab that is not the current painting. All right. So we're going to need a couple of things with this. The first thing that we'll need to do is, well, maybe we go ahead and turn off the current painting. We want to do that first and then it show the next one or get the random one. So it's pretty easy to go ahead and disable the current painting. So let's do that first. I'm going to go ahead and cut this here. And like I said, that one's pretty easy. Then what we want to do is we want to get, let's say, get a new picture or painting index. All right. So once we get a new painting index, we need to make sure that we're not getting the current painting index. So I'm just going to tab this over here, and I'm going to say exclude the current painting index. And I think what I would like to do is to do a for loop as well. So what this is going to do is it's going to start a loop. And what we can say with this is go ahead and do this and like create a random here. Let's say this, not a for loop. Let's say, let's do this. So what that means is I'm going to get a random painting index, and I'm going to do that for as long as, so while the new painting index is equal to the current painting index. All right, so just kind of step through this a little bit. So a do while loop means it's go ahead and do this thing. So get a random painting index while or for as long as the new painting index is equal to the current painting index. So basically what that means is if it is equal, then go ahead and do it again. And if it's equal again, do it one more time until it's not equal, and then go ahead and enable the new picture. So to kind of go through that, we want it to go through the while loop for as long as it needs to. And then once it has exited out of that loop, then we go ahead and say, enable the new picture or new painting using a new painting index. Okay. And then we want to go ahead and, we're going to enable that. And we could do that through set active. Okay. All right. I think that we've broken down that one statement into some tasks that we could actually go through one by one and get that to work. So using this task list, I think everything is there. You may have to add something or maybe even take it away to get this to work, but go ahead and try this out. And what you should have by the end of this is the painting. When we click on it, it changes to a random picture. It will enable the new picture and disable the old one. All right. So that's what we should see at the end of this. So give that a shot, and I'll see you in the next video. All right. So hopefully you got through that challenge and you have actually completed the entire challenge. So if I have planned this out correctly, I think this should finish everything out. So let's give it a shot. So first thing is to disable the current painting prefab. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say pictures, and not pictures. I keep saying pictures. It's paintings. So paintings, and then we want to get the current painting index. So whatever that is, We want to go ahead and set that equal to, well, no, let's set it to set active and false. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we want to disable whatever the current painting index is, right? Or whatever the current painting is by index. Then we're going to get a new picture index. So I'm going to say int new painting index. And we don't know what that's going to be. And so we're going to do a loop. So use a do while loop to get that done. So we're going to say do. And then inside of this, we're going to go ahead and say new picture index equals a random dot range. And what should that range be? Well, it should start out with 0, and then the maximum should be the length of our array. So we're going to say paintings dot length, and that should be all that we need to do here. And then we're going to go into the while loop and then provide the expression on what it should check against. So we're going to say while the new picture index or new painting index is equal to the current one, then go ahead and run that loop again. Okay, so I think that should be everything that we need as far as that goes. So this is all of our loop. And then now what we want to do is outside of the loop, we want to go ahead and enable the current picture. Now I need to go ahead and set the current painting index equal to the new picture index or painting index. And then I need to actually set that. So, or actually set it to true. So we're going to say painting, and let's do paintings, and in the array, so whatever the current painting index is, the new one that's been changed by new paintings index. So whatever the current one is, we're going to go ahead and set active, and then we're going to say true. Okay. Now we don't need to do a value in there or a bit of logic or comparison value in there. We could just say true or false in this state. So let's go ahead and test this out. And what we should have is all of our pictures randomizing, and we should be able to click on that infinitely, and it should work as intended. All right, so back in Unity, let's go ahead and hit play. We should have one image or one picture showing, and it looks like it's the very first one, which it should be every time. And then whenever we click on this, you'll see that we get a random picture. So this one looks like it was the second. And then we click on another one, and we're just getting random pictures every single time that we click. And just to check to make sure, we could click on the corners, and we should still be able to click on the picture. If we click on the wall, nothing happens until we actually click on the frame or the picture itself. So this is working exactly as intended from our statement here. So with that, let's go ahead and move on into our next video. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our problem statement one more time. The problem statement is actually covered up a little bit, so I'm going to take the pictures object and just move that down a little bit. And there we go. So given with the prefab, so we've been given these paintings prefabs, and we attach them to this basically a parent game object, and we have all of them enabled. All right. Now, we wrote a program that would randomly change the painting whenever we clicked on the current painting. And so we have this working. Let's go ahead and hit play and check this out. So again, it always starts off with the index of 0, the very first one. And if we click on it, we see that it randomly moves through these paintings. We'll see some of them more than once. And there we go. So it is a random painting every time that we click on it. Now, we've done this through several different videos. So the first thing that we did is we experimented with some other events, event-driven functions that would allow us to click on our object. So we actually used the on mouse down event. And remember that that is experimental, so it could change anytime in the future. And then from there, we went ahead and we created an array for all of our prefabs for those paintings. And then we created a function that we could call from another class. Then from there, we went ahead and we initialized our first painting on what should show up. And then we made sure that whenever we start the program, that it also turns off all of the other paintings. So if anybody ever adds to that picture's parent, those prefabs will always be turned off. And then from there, we went ahead and we created a randomness to our paintings prefab. So it always displays a new picture every time we click on one of those paintings. So now that we've gone through all of that, congratulations on getting through this challenge, and I'll see you in the next section.